Why didn't a sexual assault victim make a call to the FBI 36 years ago? That is right up to the line in 2018. Right up to the line was binders full of women a few years ago. Just put your head, get your head around that. I want to bring in my panel. I mean, it blows my mind. Here's where we are. I got to bring my panel in. Jess McIntyre, executive editor of the progressive news website Shared Blue Media. She was also a Clinton campaign advisor. My friend Ron Insana, a CNBC contributor and senior analyst. And Basil Smikle, a Democratic strategist and former executive director of the New York State Democratic Party. Ron, to you first. If Ford is serious about saying she will show up and testify on Thursday, can Republicans give her that time?
Well, I think they ought to. I mean, the conditionality is a little odd to the extent that all these demands are being put around her appearance when one would assume she's had some time to prepare for this. What the president said, I think, as you pointed out, was unconscionable, that a 15-year-old some 36 years ago would make a phone call to the FBI if she felt that she had been sexually abused. That is beyond the pale. With respect to her appearing, it is curious about the way in which they're negotiating this. One would hope that she would just come forward, make her case, and deliver it in as clear and concise a manner as possible and get these facts on the table sooner rather than later. I do agree, though, however, she should be entitled to an investigation. Anita Hill got that much. She deserves the same.
Jess, what do you make of the conditions that Ford has put forth, especially around saying, well, now she's saying we don't need an investigation, but she wants more time. She wants more voices. You know, earlier this morning, Susan Del Percio said she wanted to ask Judge Kavanaugh a question. If he was a sitting judge and the case before him was simply a he said, she said, wouldn't he want more?
Right. Well, and obviously it's only a he said, she said because the Republicans are choosing to make it so. There is actually a witness to this alleged sexual assault, which honestly never happens in sexual assault cases. We used to have books, laws on the books in America that were designed to make it really difficult for women to credibly claim rape that required a third-party witness in order to bring it forward.
And
that's how rare it is.
This third-party witness, Mark Judge, is on Brett Kavanaugh's side. So what rationale would the Judiciary Committee have to not go with it?
Imagine being able to clear one of your best friend's names because you were in the room when something terrible happened and saying, you know what, I don't feel like doing it. I choose not to.
Right? Which raises more questions.
So great, you can show up and
testify to that.
Absolutely.
It's a very curious move, and the only logical explanation is that you don't want to say it under oath because it's a really big deal if you lie under oath.
I realize how high the stakes are. We are in DEFCON 5, and there's tons of people talking, I would say more off camera than on, trying to get their head around these were teenagers. What exactly happened? If we start to say this is the bar, are we going to get people to want to run for office going forward? But it is serious, and we do need to hear them out. What if Brett Kavanaugh, and now it's too late, what if he had taken an approach where he said, I absolutely have no recollection of this. I don't believe, nothing, but it was high school. It was a long time ago. We drank so much. I don't deny that this was this person's experience, but I'm so horribly sorry. And unlike a lot of Me Too accusers, he doesn't have a trail of she said, she said, she said, she said. How would that have been received?
It may have been received better, but the problem is that you have even the President of the United States sort of coming to his defense in the way that he is, which makes it substantially worse. And the fact that you have essentially the entire Republican Congress at a point where they're trying to rush this through because they don't believe her. They don't want to hear her side. And there's a bullying aspect to this. And just think about what Dr. Ford has done. The most basic of activities that a constituent can do. She went to her member of the Senate to actually get help and support back in July.
As well.
And back in July, did not want her name to come forward. And now she's put in a position where her life will change forever. And this is substantial. And it's saddening that Republicans don't take this seriously because after Anita Hill in 1991, in the Year of the Woman in 1992, since then we've doubled the number of women in the House and in the Senate. So this is something at their peril. No. It's not enough, but to their peril, the Republicans are treating this like she's garbage.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It's still. I mean, when I'm looking at video footage from Anita Hill and from this week, I'm not even sure. I'm like, wait a minute, the same guys, the same same speech? I mean, it's
still
stunning.
all white men on the Republican side. There is no change between 1991 and 2018. If you look at the Republican side of the Senate Judiciary Committee, it was all white men then. It is all white men now. Some of them are exactly the same people.
Then, Ron, what do you make of this? Some Republicans are saying, let's have outside counsel ask the questions. Or earlier this week, I know Hugh Hewitt had the suggestion, maybe some staffers who are females should. For me, it is more insulting to say, I'm sorry, a grown civil man can't possibly ask in a respectful way questions. I mean, are his knuckles dragging so loudly on the floor that he can't conduct himself? That's insulting to him and to her, to them and to her.
But there's probably some truth to it. I mean, we've seen this in the past, that some of the elder senators cannot relate to an environment in which we find ourselves now and don't necessarily have any sympathy or empathy for this experience.
But, Ron, to that exact point, it's not about the facts then. If they can't relate to the current environment,
Correct.
It begs the question,
Why
should
are they
these
there?
people be the elected leaders representing our nation?
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, you know, and they've lost touch, and you've seen this in so many different hearings.
And that has nothing to do with age.
No, it doesn't. But they've also, listen, when you've seen the technology hearings, you've seen Facebook and these others in front of these individuals.
I'll give you that.
And they're not up to speed, right? They don't know how technology works in some instances.
Sure
I mean, Charles Grassley said, you know, he doesn't remember anything necessarily from 35 years ago. He was 50.
He was a senator.
One would hope that he would have some memory of that.
And what's also disturbing is that they seem to be rallying around Judge Kavanaugh and saying, oh, he was young, he was a teenager, he was 17. It doesn't matter. Let's just forgive him because that's just what boys do. Yet it was Donald Trump who called for the death penalty for teenagers.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, but hold on.
Hypocrisy
There's two
is-
different things.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, boys will be boys, they were 17. But he could say, I made a really big mistake when I was 17.
Yeah, but you don't hold your hand over a girl's mouth if she's
No,
trying.
100%. 100%.
Normal boy behavior does not include turning the music up to drown out the screams of the woman you're trying to force yourself on. That is not normal 17-year-old behavior.
Absolutely.
And the bar has to be so high. We are talking about Supreme Court justices. Those have to be the people of the highest integrity in the country. If you think about what the Supreme Court has been responsible for, school integration, marriage equality, I mean, the biggest and best of America goes through the Supreme Court. If you tried to rape somebody, even at 17...
We don't know that he tried to rape anyone.
But
we do not know that.
If you did what he has been accused of doing, even at 17, that demonstrates a fundamental lack of integrity that he's required to be on the Supreme Court.
To that exact point, it's such a great point, but I think people are missing, this isn't just any position.
Right.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
Only 9 people sit on the Supreme Court for the rest of their lives. So while you could debate, did he have his hand over her mouth? Was she screaming? Is there not another judge with the principles that they're looking for who doesn't even have a debatable, was it a scream, was it a shout, was it a squeak? Come on now.
Well, absolutely. And again, I mean, I think from not that I could speak from a woman's perspective, this particular vote, this particular Supreme Court justice, should he be passed, will be deciding potentially the fate of women's reproductive rights and a whole host of other issues that are germane to women. And so
it's literally about his judgment. We got to bring Kristen Welker back in. Kristen, we got some more news, huh?
We have a lot more news, Steph. In the past few minutes, President Trump tweeting yet again. You guys probably haven't had a chance to look at this because you've been engaged in that fascinating conversation. This is what President Trump is saying right now, Steph. Quote, I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents. I ask that she bring those filings forward so that we can learn date, time, and place. So again, not directly attacking Dr. Ford, but certainly walking right up to the line of saying, why has it taken her so long to speak out? Something that a number of women, particularly those who have survived attacks of sexual assault or sexual harassment, would say just doesn't make sense given their experiences. Now, this comes also just moments.
Kristen, can we just for one second?
Go ahead.
Again, I cannot believe that we're categorizing that as he's going up to the line. Have things become so perverse that hasn't gone over the line? Remember the